I'm Melissa, and I'm part of the bag system. While checking the comments this morning, I noticed that we were at 498 subscribers. So, not sure what it is now, possibly give or take one or two. Possibly. So, yeah, thank you for joining. Since the last video, we did attempt to film one a few months ago and didn't post it. Actually, I gave up about 4 minutes into the recording. Yeah, let's just give up on this thing, because there were so many switches and I wasn't able to just kind of like talk. And I don't know if maybe I'll play a bit of it. Like, it was just like, maybe I'll put a few little clips here. We'll see like the magic of how that goes, like with my we'll see. Yeah. Huh. And Skittle got super excited and we shrieked for like a half hour. Well, we shrieked. It's a combined. So it was pretty exciting this morning. Really was. Feel weird. It shouldn't be this funny. Yeah, we're not gonna get anywhere with this video. I'm gonna call it quits. Sorry, whatever. Topic of the video: strains on DID systems. Because there's a lot of differences in what we can handle. And what I can handle, or can barely handle, they really, really maybe don't appreciate that so much. Or they realize things before I realize them, or that I wouldn't have realized without them. What was it, like 2 months ago, a child voice, I really have to pee. And I was like, no, we don't. And then I was like, wow, I really have to pee. And I was like, I really just didn't realize that until they were like, oh. So they realize things about like our sensations of like, before I do. Or say pain before I do, or like noticing things that are like, our face is really squished and I'm like, wow, my face is in like the weirdest position right now after this. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, squished against the pillow like the weirdest way. I mentioned in a podcast episode a few months ago about how there was a headmate who was talking about pain that we were feeling, but that I wasn't. I was just kind of so intensely in my head that I just wasn't realizing that something that I was doing to soothe myself was causing them pain, because it was like my preference over two different difficulties, except that it wasn't theirs. I heard someone talking about it and it really hurts. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then I stopped being so freaked out by like what I was going through. I start calming down. I'm like, what are you talking about? It hurts. What hurts? And I'm like, what? But then I realized, wow, it really, this is painful. So yeah, and there's a lot of things like that like our awareness, say I can be looking in one direction or sensing one thing, smelling one thing, and they're not just smelling, they're paying attention to a different sense than I am, or like I'm maybe very dissociated while they're paying attention. About a month ago-ish, we were on our way to therapy. I was really dissociated because we were going through some intense stuff at the time. When are we not? At this point, it's just kind of redundant. I was trying to get us to therapy while being totally floaty. Except that then I hear someone was saying, a female voice said, that's the wrong way. Susie told me. Like, one, what do you mean? The wrong way? Are we even going anywhere? Like, I was really, nah, man. And who's Susie, by the way? And who are you, by the way? But like, at this point, it's just a lot of new voices. In the town space, I kind of like out of my fog, and I'm like looking around and like, we went the wrong way. So we had to find our way back, and we did make it to therapy, thankfully. Kind of in a fog, but we did make it. But it was just interesting how someone else was like, hey, this ain't right. Well, I was like completely ignorant to it until I heard someone say it. It freaks me out a little bit, but I mean, it's kind of useful if you're lost. Someone knows the way, or that this isn't the way, so there you go. We've been having a lot of issues with sleep, whereas before it was a lot of insomnia. But lately, after about a year of really a total waffle of PTSD and sleep, feeling dissociated when sleepy, night terrors, waking up to night terrors, screaming out of the bed and knocking things over and whatever. I think I've talked about that before. And then like nightmares, flashbacks, waking up feeling dissociated, disoriented, thinking there's a monster. It's not easy to think to take your meds and sleep. Wow, I'm gonna take my meds and knock out and be like, hey, I'm just gonna be vulnerable to this by taking my meds. So it would take a pill to take a pill, right? Like, you gotta take a courage pill to take literal like melatonin and sleep meds. But then even then, like that's when we even have the courage to try. But that's my choice, right? Or someone's choice, at least, because I imagine like our therapist encourages us to, or at least me, to cultivate, she says cultivating a curiosity for who might be motivating this. Like that it could be like someone else's intentions or someone else's needs or wants, or, you know, motivating a situation, kind of passive influence. Like sometimes I don't necessarily recognize when it's not necessarily fully me. But in any case, we haven't been sleeping much, like at all. We avoid it, or at least I do, or a combination of someone else. There you go. So we avoid it like a ton. And yesterday morning, we woke up at like 2 a.m. and I was like, this is awful. Let's not do this. And we're like grabbing our computer and we're like half like zonked. And I'm like, no, I can't. And then like, I don't want to do this thing where we sleep. So we kind of like have to do something. And then I get on this app that I downloaded like the day before. So it was magical apps. Yes. So I'm typing on the app and someone's talking about how I'm trying to make it simple. I think they were talking about simplifying the layout of what I was creating in the app. And then it gets a little bit sadder because I find that although part of it is a little bit humorous in the sense of the intense amount of talk there was about the fact that we weren't sleeping. I mean, it's kind of to the degree where it was funny-ish, but not funny, because it was really difficult to feel that like powerfully, painfully tired, but refusing to do it because like it's terrifying to just give in and sleep. Okay, so I'm going to go through the things that they were saying. Need to learn how to push ideas. So I'm guessing that was an indication that they were, I mean, this is a guess because like I didn't ask and they didn't say, which I'm guessing was a reference to needing to sleep and needing to push the idea of needing to sleep, and that it would be this glorious, wonderful, sleep, which, you know, technically feeling rested is desired, but sleep is not. So I think they were kind of starting to feel the pressure. Not every day. Reference to not sleeping, like every freaking day/night. I need to sleep. You can't dig. That sounded like someone's name. Like the way that they said it, the tone of the pause between you can't and dig, like a little bit, you can't dig. That's an interpretation, really. And then me, hearing all this chatter and thinking, hey, this is a little bit, you know, you get used to it at some point, but honestly, it's a bit freaky no matter how used to it you get, especially when you're a little bit disoriented and tired and really like, my thought was, there's no such thing as a waffle. Waffle was my way of indicating the ID. There's no such thing as a waffle. And then the reply was, I assure you, there is such a thing as a waffle. We're not sleeping again? I'm kind of struggling. I have to make it. Be appropriate to them. That one, I'm guessing, was someone talking to me, saying, be appropriate to them. So they were being so polite considering that they were going through a really hard time. I mean, I was, and they were, we all were, but they were being so polite to, like, whatever was motivating this, like, be appropriate to them. That's so kind to be like, just kind of like a gentle nudge. And then I was like, okay, let's lie down. Let's do something and like help everyone out. I start to conk out and get drowsy. And then I hear, are we out yet? Child's voice. Reply, not yet. None of us are sleeping. I like YouTube. That one was adorable though. The last one, like seriously, that whoever said that, I am so endeared. Foot's falling asleep. It's mortifying crap. We're swearing apparently. So yeah, I guess the idea is well, one, there's always a need to be sensitive of others, regardless of whether they're like others within a whole of a self. At the same time, so at least in terms of sharing an experience where you should be able to get your own choices and your own consequences to those choices when there's no one else around but you, except that there's kind of other, it gets overwhelming because and a little bit resentful, to be honest. I feel like not resentful towards them, but to the situation, because honestly, it isn't their fault in any way, shape, or form. No way. They're in this boat with me. No one chose this. We're here. But at the same time, I think that every one of us can feel resentful at the situation of not having our own minds fully. So every one of us individually should have that, but we don't. And I think that I feel resentful. And there you go, that was my rant. You'll be happy to know my foot's not sleeping anymore. So like, yay. Oh my God, did I play that at the beginning of the video?